us about yourself.
Well, yes. So, good morning, good afternoon, the world of YouTube. My name is Eva Friend, and I am in the United States Air Force. I am a Chief Master Sergeant, and that is the highest rank of the enlisted path for the Air Force. I graduated in 2000, and during my time in high school, I was a pretty great student and an okay athlete, I'll say that. I was in cheerleading, I did volleyball, I played softball, I was a major red, I was in the band, I was did a lot of student council stuff, and it was fantastic as a small town girl being able to do all of those activities and still have time to have fun with my friends. So that's a little bit about me.
Okay. How have things changed since you've been here?
Oh my gosh. So Fairport is a very unique town. It is the most unique hometown that I think I have ever encountered. And mind you, I've been in the Air Force for 24 years, so I've met a lot of airmen who come from all over the world. And so knowing that I come from a square mile town that has one sort of stoplight, the rest of it is stop signs, is pretty unique. How the town has changed. I've seen the town just be updated with like the new shops down on East Street. The school obviously has transformed. There's so many sports here that we never had when I was growing up. It was mainly volleyball, basketball, and cheerleading and softball. And now there's cross country and track and many sports, especially for women. So I've seen it expand and absolutely be more inclusive when it comes to women's sports, which is fantastic.
Okay. What extra? No. Oh, wait. Did any of your other family members go to Fairport?
Yes, I had two older sisters that came to Fairport. So my family relocated in Fairport in 1980, I guess it would be 83. I was 10 months old, and we've been here since. So we've lived on Fifth Street and we've lived on New Street for about 42 years. But my sisters both graduated from Fairport. My oldest sister Christina was a class of 1994 graduate, and my sister Denise was a class of, I believe, 96.
Okay. What was your favorite subject and who taught it?
Oh my gosh, for all my old teachers watching that possibly are still alive, oh man. You know, if Mr. Mockner is out there, he taught government. I thought that was a really great class. Oh my gosh, the math teacher, oh my gosh, it'll come to me later. She was fantastic. She always held us accountable. We learned so much in her class. And then we were all really good friends with Mr. Jerry Heights, and so he was our coach for many of our sports. I think I had him for health class as an 8th grader, but otherwise he taught a different curriculum, but he was also one of my favorites.
Okay. Tell us about yourself.
Well, I'm Andy Musial. I graduated from Fairport Harding High School in the class of 2003. And I actually was dually enrolled at high school and Lakeland Community College my junior and senior year. So I did what they call CCP now. It was called something a little bit different then. And then beyond my associate's degrees, I actually went on to study biology at Notre Dame College. And at college, I ran track and cross country, so I was involved in college sports. I was in student leadership in college as well, and I became an RA as part of my experience there. From there, I went on to get my master's degree at Kent State University. I studied human physiology, which is a field where you're kind of looking at how the body works and the functions of the different parts of the body. And then from there I went on to get my doctorate in neuroscience. So currently I'm a professor at Lakeland Community College, and I'm involved in a lot of different community projects. And I coach, and I'm my daughter's Girl Scout troop leader, and my son's soccer coach, and my daughter's cheer coach, and I'm very involved with United Way of Lake County as well.
Okay. Did you have any of your family members at Fairport?
Not currently. My mom was Mrs. Bassiger, who taught at the elementary school for 35 years. And so at present, I live outside of Lake County, as does my sister. But have a deep history in Fairport, and lots of my family are alumni from here.
How have things changed, like, since the last time you were here?
Oh, gosh. Well, we did have my 20th high school reunion just a year ago, and so I did get to tour the high school and see it. And at moments, it felt like time stood still. It didn't even feel like 20 years had passed. But there were definitely a lot of things that seemed very different at the same time. And I will say, when I was in school in 2003, when I graduated, very few people had cell phones. I would tell you maybe a handful of people had cell phones, and they were about this big. So we didn't have smartphones. It was very rare to even have them, so people weren't texting during class or looking things up on their phones or social media. Additionally, when I was here, we're not having any book bags. It was actually right after there had been a tragedy in Columbine, and so they were very strict on what you were allowed to bring to school, what you were allowed to have between classes, and I did notice that's something that's changed quite a bit over the years. We walked home for lunch. Everybody did, so you could go walk home or walk to convenient or wherever to find your lunch, or you could eat your lunch in the hallway. There was no designated lunch space. We changed classes, but our classes changed every quarter, so we got to try a lot of different things within a year. I don't know, there's times it feels like it hasn't actually been that long.
And what was your favorite subject and who taught it?
Science, and that's actually what I went into. So Mr. Barris was my teacher in science. He was like the first person that made me realize that like science was everywhere, and that science could be really fun. I mean, we did physics on the football field. We would throw the football and talk about the angle and the speed and the velocity of the ball, and we would do things like drop things from the top of the lighthouse and monitor their speed and you know, gravity, and we'd take into account all kinds of different calculations for it. In chemistry, he had us make root beer. We would learn how to clean pennies and different reactions with copper. So it definitely would have been Mr. Barris, and he definitely was a huge component to sparking my interest even more in science.
Okay. Is that good? That's all I have. Thank you.
Yourself.
I was graduated in 1971 from Fairport. I've been a lifelong resident. I did move to Menor a couple decades ago at that time because of some situations in our life. But I lived here most of my life. My family actually started here in 1886, so I have connections way back to Fairport. My great-grandparents on the Finnish side settled here in the 1880s, so I've got a lot of connection here, a lot of family here. That goes back well over 100 years.
Alright, how have things changed since you've been here?
Well, I'll give you a real surprise. It'll surprise the other two groups. In the 70s and probably up until the 80s, the high school principal could give swats. I know it's a shock. It was rare, don't get me wrong, it was very, very rare. But up until probably late 70s, if not early 80s, a high school principal could give swats. Now, that was extremely, extremely rare that happened. I mean, you had to be a really bad kid to get that far. And frequently you had a choice. You could take a 1, 2, or 3 day suspension or something like that, or just take SWATs. And the number of SWATs given was based on what the principal determined, how bad you were, if you were a repeat offender or something like that. Mr. B had 2 paddles, one with holes and one without. So that's probably one of the biggest changes. The other is right down here. This is quite a change. I spent a lot of time down here in this basement. I liked wood shop, and half this area down here was the wood shop at the time. The very end is where the wood is storage for raw products, and the other half was the metal shop, so that's been a change. Other than that, I mean, obviously other than building maintenance, I don't think there's been a lot of changes. I understand the office has moved. I'll see that, I guess, in the near future. At one time, the office was on the main floor of the old building. So, other than that, I mean, I enjoyed school here.
What extracurriculars did you do?
I love band. I'm a band geek, I'm a music geek, I still love music. Trust me, you don't want to hear me sing, so that's why I'm fortunate that I play so many instruments. When I went to school here, I started out in clarinet, and Mr. Irvine, who was our band director, realized I was horrible at clarinet. So, unbeknown to my dad, he switched me over to sousaphone. Him and my dad were pretty good friends, and unknown to him, he switched me over to sousaphone. So for a few weeks, I was taking my clarinet home and squawking and being horrible at that, while here at school I was learning sousaphone. So in my high school years, I learned sousaphone, tuba, double bass, and electric bass, and loved that. I also did track. I ran high school track. I ran the 2-mile. Enjoyed that kind of. I did it because I wanted to do something, and quite frankly, hardly anybody wants to run the 2-mile, which is what it was at that time. And so I did that. I did basketball for a year. I wasn't great at that and realized that. So I volunteered in the library a lot too. I have a very, very good printing. So if they needed books re-stenciled, I would fix the binding and re-stencil the books with the name of the book on it.
Okay. What was your favorite subject and who taught it?
Gonna need an edit there. It's a toss-up, honestly. I liked band a lot, obviously, and that was Mr. Irvine. Mr. Irvine was quite the inspiration when I do my talk later on today. You're gonna hear that. He was strict, but he took us to a lot of state championships, especially in concert band. We received many concert band awards at the state level, many superior ratings. But he was a really, really good influence and a big guy in my life. Mr. Rory, who also did the wood shop class and the industrial arts class, also was a big influence in my life. I was one of 2 people that was hand-selected to do a project where we were supposed to design your swimming pool that never happened. Fred Poto and I spent an hour a day for an entire semester crawling around in the mushroom factory, doing measurements and making drawings and trying to what they call as-built prints in the architecture world. And what they wanted to do is find out if it would be possible to put an Olympic-sized swimming pool down there. Obviously that never happened. For a lot of reasons. One is probably cost, 2, digging it out, and most importantly, my question from day one when that started was, what about the humidity? What would that do to the gym floor directly above it? But I enjoyed doing that. It was a nice challenge. I felt honored that he asked Fred and I to take it on, and we enjoyed doing that.
That's it.
Three Dynamite Harding graduates today.
Here we go.
The people sitting on this stage have played on the same field, had probably the same locker, sat in this auditorium, played in the gym, the same areas at school that you're in every day. They have played the same field and sat in the same classroom. They have all graduated from Harding, just like you will soon. They are here today because they are being inducted into the Fairport Hall of Fame tomorrow night. They are here to share their experiences here in Harding, as well as where their Harding education took them. I will start by introducing Eva Friend.
crowd cheers. But then I recently learned that the cheerleaders have new cheers, which is fantastic because when I was a cheerleader, we did the same cheers since 1985. So well done, cheerleaders. New cheers, that's fantastic. Well, today I'm just so honored to be part of the Fairport Hall of Fame. This is a complete privilege to be inducted. And so today, I'm not usually a stand behind the podium type of girl, but I'm going to give this a whirl. Because I can kind of keep myself contained. But today I'm going to tell you just a little bit about me, a little bit about my adventures, and like where life has taken me in the last 24 years since I graduated high school. And so I'm a 2000 grad. I graduated with 39. So how many classes have more than 39? We all know. Do you guys know your classmates? So 39, and I'll tell you what's so unique about Fairport is all 39 of my classmates, except for the ones that have passed away, we're still so connected. And that is probably the best gift that you're going to get out of your Fairport education. The connectiveness, the concept of family, and being able to rely on each other. And so today in the back of the room, I wanted to acknowledge one of my best friends, Jessica Hibbert. She's a 2004, I'm not really sure what year you were inducted, but she's a previous Hall of Fame inductee as well. And so and that's what I'm talking about, because that's what Fairport is. We're here to support one another, and we show up. And so thank you, Jess, for showing up today. She flew in all the way from Huntsville, Alabama, to be here with me this weekend. So I'm very happy for her. So again, I'm just going to take you through a little bit of my story. So I graduated in 2000, and most of you aren't even alive then. Maybe some of the teachers. The one in the back, I had no idea she was a teacher. She looked so young. There she is. I'm not sure her name, but I was like, are you a cheerleader? She's like, no, I'm a teacher. I'm like, oh, wow. Okay, I'm really old. So we graduated in 2000, and the world was different. Just to give you perspective, we thought the world was going to end. And New Year's Eve of 1999, Jess and I we thought for sure the world was ending. Do you remember that night? Y2K. You don't even know what that means, but it was a big deal. We thought the computers were going to crash. It was crazy, okay? So we graduated high school in early June of 2000. And so you notice that I'm wearing the stellar, amazing military uniform. So around December of 1999, I got a phone call from an Air Force recruiter, and I was babysitting for my sister, who, if many families like you probably babysit for your family. And so just like many of you, that was my job. I didn't have a job, and so I babysat. And an Air Force recruiter called, and I was really bored. And if you remember, probably not, but we used to have phone cords that it was attached to the wall. And you would wrap around the house so that I could sit in the chair and still talk on the phone. You guys, this is wild technology, now with cell phones. So the Air Force recruiter called me, and we talked for about 15, 20 minutes, and he was telling me the story. He was like, we're gonna pay for your school, you're gonna travel the world, you're gonna have free health care, you're gonna, you name it. I was like, God, this sounds so good. This sounds exactly what I want, because in December of 1999, I was applying for high school scholarships. I was trying to go to University of Akron. I had gotten in. I wanted to do an engineering path, but I was overwhelmed and I was stressed, and I didn't have money for college. And so I was like, okay, well, all this stuff sounds really great about the Air Force. Let me tell my best friend. So the next morning, my best friend Debbie, who, if anybody comes to the dinner later tomorrow, you'll meet her. I said, Debbie, I think I'm going to join the Air Force. And she's like, really? And I'm like, yeah. And of course, if you can tell, in high school, I was a 4-year varsity cheerleader, 3-year varsity volleyball player, 3-year varsity softball player. I was majorette. I was in the band. I was student council. I was everything. You told me I had to do something. They're like, there's an opportunity. I was like, take me, pick me. I was part of some leadership opportunities in Lake County. There's a conglomerate of things. And I was like the most anxious person to try it all. So if those people are in this room right now, I see you. That I was you. And so, but I was overwhelmed with going into college, and it was a different world back then, right? So you had to do a lot of handwritten essays for scholarships and things like that. And so just the concept of that really overwhelmed me. And so I said, you know what? I think I'm going to join the Air Force. And at the time, my best friend was like, that sounds wonderful. I'm going to do that too. And so part of a program they had back, 24 years ago, was that you could go and join the Air Force with your friend, and you would be together. It came about a month before we were about to ship off for basic training, and she goes, sorry, Eva, I'm not going. And I was like, no, and I was heartbroken, but I said, I'm going anywhere. Anyway, I ended up enlisting as an aircraft armament systems apprentice, and Debbie at the time was going to be a crew chief. So we were going to be 2 Fairport girls, small town girls, heading off into the wild blue yonder, into these aircraft maintenance career fields that we had no idea what was going on. So she was like, I can't do it. And I was like, I'm still going. So in September of 2000, I left for basic training. If you notice, this was still pre-9/11. And again, I'm telling you kind of an old story because most of y'all weren't even alive until 2007, maybe. But after September 11th hit, it completely changed my world. And so I deployed in support of Operation Enduring Freedom Southern Watch to Kuwait, part of the F-15E Strike Eagle unit under the 335th Fighter Squadron at Seymour Johnson. A very monumental moment of my career. A couple years later, after returning from that deployment, I moved to South Korea, and I was part of the A-10 unit out there. A year later, I moved to Aviano, Italy. I was part of the F-16 units out there. So a lot of aircraft maintenance in my background. Things that I never even thought were imaginable. And during that time, while I'm working in the Air Force, I got my degree. So I got my bachelor's in healthcare administration. And then I recognized that I wanted to go into the healthcare career fields. And so after about 8 years of aircraft maintenance, I transitioned into a physical therapist assistant. And so I did that for the next 5 years. I took a stint and I did a tour doing instructor duty. So I've taught about 2,000 hours teaching leadership courses. And then I came back, and a few more assignments later, I'm now stationed down at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. So anybody that's from Southern Ohio, Dayton area, I'm now the chief of the 88th Medical Group, where we have a 57-bed hospital, a 10-bed ICU, and it's just an amazing, my journey there has just been absolutely amazing. But I would in no way be able to do that without my support system. My friends, people like Jessica, like Coach Heights in the back, like Coach Romero, Ronnie Hibbard. There's so many people in this room right now that have been just important facets of my life. And so, when you look left and look right, who's sitting next to you, those people hopefully those people are with you on your journey 25 years later. So maybe one of you will be up here on the stage giving a speech. Probably not like mine, because obviously you have telephones, you have cell phones, you're not gonna have the same story. But hopefully you have those achievements that you can look back on and you can be proud of, and realize that the people sitting left and right are the ones that kind of get you there. I also like to highlight just a couple things. We were talking earlier, just to recognize how special Fairport is. And sometimes you don't recognize that when you're a student. I know I didn't. In fact, I just wanted to leave this now, right? That's why I said, I'm joining the Air Force, I want to go travel, I want to go get my education, and I want to serve my country. And I was able to do all those things. But every time I come back to Fairport, it is the most heartwarming experience. And that's the most special thing about Fairport. Mr. Lee, Silvi over here, I was like, Lee, do I know you? And earlier today, he's like, yeah, Eva, you played with my son Justin when you were 4. And that was incredible. And Andrea, and Andy, so I would call her Andy, and I were cheerleaders together. And she lived on South Street, or the corner, and so every day, I've known her my whole entire life. And that's the special things. Where is Krista? Krista, I babysat her and I delivered I delivered newspapers to her grandma and grandpa. So the bind and the bond that we have here is so extremely special. And you probably don't recognize that now, but it's what makes Fairport incredible. And so for those graduates today, I know that this is the start of your senior year, but embrace it. It goes fast, but make those memories. They always say that your senior year is like supposed to be the best year of your life. Well, my senior year, I spent half of it at Lakeland Community College because I did college classes my senior year. And so there's certain moments that I like treasure. I treasure our homecoming game. I remember, where is Tyson? Tyson Sherwood, his mother, and I were also cheerleaders together. And we had the biggest blowout fight at homecoming. I know Tyson, I'm probably embarrassing you right now. But that's the important part. His mom and I were in these hallways, if they could talk, holy cow. And his mom and I had not a fight, because I realized that, don't use that word around here, we had an argument. And we actually, it's so funny because we used to have a VHS camera, and we replayed it one day, and it was like, Alicia was like, do you remember this day? And, you know, you were like, "Roger, I'm painting the run-through." And I was like, this is my senior year. I'm painting the run-through. Jessica's probably laughing in the back because she thought we were ridiculous. But that's the memories. And then for homecoming football, we totally rocked all of the things, and we became best friends, 5 minutes later, because that's what we do. But those were great memories. My senior year prom, fantastic. We rented a limo, and we went with a bunch of girlfriends, and it was so much fun. So those seniors in the crowd, embrace this year. It should be the best years of your life. I'm sorry if it's not, but embrace it, enjoy it, make those memories with your classmates, because in 25 years, you're still going to remember them. For the juniors and the sophomores and the freshmen, my message to you is to know that you'll probably be part of a new school, right? So next year, I believe it's being built. I'm not sure what year we move in, but you're gonna be the first class in the new school. So tradition starts with you. You're gonna have new walls. You're gonna make new memories. You're not gonna have lockers, and so make the best of this time. Continue the tradition that we've had. The bind and the bond that makes us special. And just, make sure that you take some time to love, it's kind of as silly as it sounds to love your neighbor, but really truly love on each other, because you're going to need it in life. Thank you again for this opportunity. I am honored. I hope I didn't put anybody to sleep. Like I said, if you want, Andrea and I can do some cheers up here. We're prepared. We'll do one round, all right? I'm going to say, who are you rooting for? And you're going to say FHS. Jess, are you building this? This is going on later. Ready? Tyson, you probably know this one because your mom and I love this one. Okay, so ready?
Musial, and she is a 2003 graduate. Welcome.
So congratulations to both Eva and Lee. I had the opportunity to cheer with Eva in high school. I had the opportunity to work with Lee at Lakeland Community College. So it's very special that I'm being inducted with both of you guys here today. I won't be cheering today, sorry Eva. All right. Well, it's an honor to talk to you all today and to be recognized as a distinguished alumni. I have many cherished memories from my time here at Fairport. I participated in cheerleading, as Eva's mentioned. I was in track,
basketball, volleyball, band, choir, flag corps, National Honor Society, Spanish club, student government. I was even in the school plays and musicals. The opportunities that were given to me to participate in a small town at a small school were endless. My classmates were more like family, even if we were a dysfunctional one at times. And the community support in this small town was monumental to my success. What I didn't know about growing up in a small town was all the benefits I had in doing so. It wasn't until I actually started my second year of graduate school at Kent State that I realized how truly blessed I was. My research for my doctorate was well underway, and I was in need of supplies that were back-ordered coming from Europe and 2 products from South America. While waiting for them, it would have delayed my research weeks, even months. My prime investigator for my lab recommended I ask around to borrow stocks until ours came in. He said, "It's a long shot, kiddo, but maybe somebody around here likes you." I began asking for materials. Word spread across 3 research buildings about what I was looking for, and within a few hours, I had everything that I needed and then some. It was in that moment I felt a sense of community like I did back home. In fact, I felt homesick. What came next I wasn't prepared for. My coworker from Nepal said to me, "Andy, why are you surprised everyone came to your aid? You know everyone. You talk to everyone. You remember people's birthdays and the names of their kids. You make a point to say hello, ask about how other people are doing. Of course, everyone came to your aid." She then went on to tell me that before I had started at Kent, no one talked to each other in our lab. She didn't know anything about the other people she worked side by side with every day. She said she knew nothing about them, in fact. You see, growing up in a small town, you learned how to talk to just about anyone. I saw this firsthand today when the media group was interviewing us, how relaxed and calm they were when they were recording and asking questions and interacting with us alumni. I was so impressed, but it was just a reminder of community, of the fact that we learned how to talk to other people, the importance of that communication skill, these skills that I've taken with me well into my career. Now, I can honestly say, when I left the safety of this small town, I was not certain what I was going to do with my life. I laugh now because the one thing I was sure of was I was never going to be a teacher. Fast forward, I'm a professor of biology. I teach as many credits a semester as I'm possibly allowed, and I find myself volunteering for science programs all across my county and in my kids' schools. I love teaching. I love sharing my passion for science with anyone and everyone who will listen. And yet, I took the longest, hardest possible road around my goal to get to it. As a kid from Fairport, I worked my tail off to earn what I have today. I started at a community college, and my hard work there helped me to earn scholarships towards my bachelor's degree program. My connections and my work in my bachelor's level helped me to land interviews at graduate schools and medical programs. I found a combined program that allowed me to teach, to pay for my tuition. The gist here is if there's a will, there's a way. And always ask questions and explore your options. Don't just say this is something I'd like to do, but I don't think it's possible. I at times called myself the queen of scholarships, not because I won them all, but because I applied for hundreds. I also worked several part-time jobs. One of my first was curly comb. That being said, the message is if there's a will, there's a way. You have to keep your eye on your goal. Another important message here is you don't have to know what you're going to be when you grow up. Now, I asked the students I got to interview with earlier today what their plans were. And some knew what they wanted to do, and some had no idea. You're allowed to change your mind. You can change your plans. You can discover what you truly enjoy. In fact, the neuroscience in me, the neuroscientist that I am, would be remiss if I didn't mention growth mindset. This is the belief that a person's abilities can be improved through effort, learning, and persistence. So hard work is how you can achieve your goals, not just pure talent. I see talented individuals every day waste their gifts. I see people who think that because they're good at one thing, that's all that they can offer the world. So you can learn new things. And the best thing that you could be is the best version of yourself every single time you show up. So, my best example of this growth mindset and what you can do with your life. When I was in kindergarten and they asked me what I wanted to do, I gave them a different job for every day of the week. And I laughed because as a mom and a coach and a volunteer and a professor and a scientist, I get to do about 6 out of 7 of the things that I picked when I was in kindergarten. Never got to wheel trainer. I'm okay with that. They moved to SeaWorld. But 3 years ago, my daughter said she really wanted to play soccer. I never played soccer. I never even really watched it. I wasn't very interested in it, but the league reached out and said they didn't have enough parent volunteers. I'm a hand raiser by nature, and I say yes. So I emailed her, sure, I'll be a coach. And the next thing I know, I was buying the book on Amazon, Coaching Soccer for Dummies. I was buying skill training tools, I was watching YouTube videos, I was attending the high school varsity soccer practices to take notes so I could figure out how to be the best possible coach for these little girls that I ever could have imagined. We had so much fun. I was asked back to coach again. I got the opportunity to then coach my son's team, kind of like herding cats because they were kindergartners, but it was incredible, so much fun. That being said, you can change your entire trajectory right now based on any decision you make today. You can develop new skills, you can learn new things. The next thing I want to impress upon you is as you grow up and you become an adult and you move to the next stage in your life, or even just 1 year from now, be the person for others that you needed growing up. Be the coach, be the volunteer, be the one who listens, be the mom or dad that always has the snacks, or the cool auntie or uncle who shows up at the games or the meets, or the recitals, or the plays. You don't have to be tough, or hard, or angry, like the people that you might have encountered in your past. You can break those chains. You can be the support to someone that's in need. As a senior, you can be one that looks out for the freshman who's figuring out where they might fit in. As the team captain, you can be the one that's showing the younger athletes how to develop their skill better. As an upperclassman, you can help the student that's struggling in the class that you took just last year. So while I'm still up here imparting all this wisdom, make sure to thank the people who helped you along the way. Thank your parents, thank your friends, your coaches, or your favorite teacher, or even thank that one person you always see putting in the work in your community right here in Fairport. And put yourself out there. If it scares you and it excites you, it's probably worth trying. Travel, meet new people, interact with people that are far different from yourself, ask questions, and never stop exploring. Good luck, guys.
The final inductee today is Mr. Lee Silvi.
I get back to clean up in a warm auditorium, so we were pretty antsy already, but I'll do my best. As you've already heard, my name is Lee Silvi. I've addressed countless audiences for over 40 years. This includes conferences at the international level with hundreds of people in attendance. But when I was asked today, or told today, I needed to come up here, or asked to come up here, and talk about myself, my life, and my achievements, I had a very difficult time preparing for this. You see, people that know me best know I don't talk about myself. I just do stuff and get it done, and that's how I've always been. And except for today, I don't want to use notes. My former students would tell you I can ramble on for an hour and never need a note to do that. And sometimes drone on or whatever that might be. I also suspect I may not be the typical person being inducted to the Hall of Fame here at Fairport. In 1971, I graduated 33rd in my class with a 1.92 GPA. You heard that right. something I wasn't exactly proud of. Then I recently realized that also means 30% of my classmates did worse than me. So I felt a little bit better. It wasn't because I didn't try or didn't care. I really did. Thankfully, my teachers saw that, and I spent a lot of time with Mr. Babb and others after school to get math and other help. In part because I was the quiet kid, I did not receive a lot of good advisement and did not realize I would even switch math tracks. I didn't know that. And I stayed in a very difficult math track that I did not belong in. When I was thinking about my college that my parents could not afford or a possible career, I was given some books in the guidance office. You probably remember those things called books. You have tablets and all that now. I wasn't given a lot of guidance. I was given these books and said, look through them and see what interests me. Nowadays, you have ASVAB, the computers, and all this technology to help you out. I was also the quiet kid, maybe bullied a little bit, and I lacked a lot of self-confidence. I was very quiet in high school. Andy and I worked together at Lakeland for a couple doors away. She can tell you I'm no longer that quiet kid. For almost 3 years, I had to wear a back brace under my shirt to help secure scoliosis, which is much less common in males. If you don't think anything can ruin your self-confidence, like having to wear a back brace in high school for 3 years, after this is over with today, Google Milwaukee brace, like the city, Milwaukee brace. Best described as a bird cage with chest, back, waist, and chin pads. And I wore that for 3 years here in high school. I ran track for 4 years, only to find out later on that you should run on hard surfaces if you have scoliosis. Well, where's our high school track at? Especially if you're a distance runner. Andy mentioned curly cone. That was our track. That was a 2-miler. We ran from the high school to curly cone and back for practice, which was not very good for scoliosis. In part because of that back brace and being so quiet, it was frequently difficult to date Fairport girls, so I dated a couple girls from Painesville, met her, and actually met a girl from Pittsburgh camping, and she was my high school sweetheart. She lived in Pittsburgh, and everybody thought we'd marry someday. We didn't. Life changes. I was a huge high school band geek, and still a big music geek today, and very proud of it. I play double bass, electric bass, tuba, and sousaphone. You don't want to hear me sing. There's a reason I play instruments. I even had the chance to march in reunion band with my sons here at Fairport and at Menor. But the point of all this is my band director, who at that time was Mr. Irvine, played a big part in instilling self-confidence in me. Mr. Dennis Lordy, who's long since retired and I believe died a couple years ago, was our woodworking and industrial arts teacher, who also helped build my self-confidence. While some people in class might have done simple stencil drawings in class, he handpicked Fred Poto and myself to measure the mushroom factory and draw it as part of as-built architectural prints for the swimming pool that was going to be built under the high school gymnasium. You might have noted that never got done. He wasn't optimistic it was going to happen there either for a variety of reasons, but that project and his confidence in me and Fred helped build a lot of self-confidence that I lacked here in high school. So at this point, you're probably thinking, so what? Well, I believe I'm the example of the person of what you can be if you want to set your mind to it. Because I never thought I'd be up here today. And maybe someday up here, you'll be up here yourself. After high school, jobs were very difficult to find, and my family could not afford college. So I enlisted in the United States Army, where my specialty was classified encrypted communications in what used to be called the Signal Corps. I was an honor graduate of my signal class, and it was many years before I could tell anyone what I really did in life when I was stationed in the Army. I spent half my enlistment in Augusta, Georgia, and half of it in the Republic of Korea up by the demilitarized zone. In both locations, it was other people that saw potential in me, and I was placed in charge of communication sites stateside and in Korea before I ever made the rank of sergeant. In Korea, our site provided encrypted communications between the commanding generals of the 1st Corps and the 2nd Infantry Division up by the DMZ. which still occasionally saw shooting. I never got shot at, but still occasionally saw some shooting. And even today, those idiots over there are still shooting each other occasionally across the DMZ. While in Korea, I did earn the rank of sergeant, and I was awarded Good Conduct Medal and some other awards. I was also awarded for the Army, not for the Army Commendation Medal, but given the Army mail got lost on its way here and they never found it. That's government for you. There's another government employee in the back, I can tell you, that's what government's like. After discharge, I planned to work in the field that I was certified in, which nowadays would be AT&T. But because federal ADO laws had been passed the year before I was discharged, I could not be hired for what I was qualified to do. At least they were honest with me and told me why. So I regrouped and became a part-time firefighter here in Fairport, where I served for 13 years. 5.5 of those or so were as fire chief. I was appointed Fairport Harbor Fire Chief at the age of 28, becoming one of the youngest fire chiefs appointed in the country. I also served full-time at the Mentor Fire Department for almost 28 years and in various ranks and capacities there. I used my GI Bill to go to college, where I earned associate degrees from Lakeland, a bachelor's degree from what is now Myers University. From Myers, I graduated with a 4.0. You might remember before, I graduated high school with a 1.92. So time and self-confidence can change a lot of things. I later earned a master's degree from Cleveland State University at the College of Urban Affairs, which is one of the toughest in the country. They have a high attrition rate and a high failure rate. And in my spare time, I've completed a few hundred short courses through the State Fire Academy, National Fire Academy, and through FEMA's Emergency Management Institute. I also had never planned to become an instructor or professor or anything like that. Never thought of that in high school, never even thought of that in midlife. But a private police academy instructor saw me teach in a class when I was with the Mentor Fire Department and liked what I did. That was another self-confidence builder from another person. I think you see a theme here today between the three of us who've been up here. Out of that single class, I became one of the first 4 adjunct faculty members of the State of Ohio Fire Academy, and went on to teach at Lakeland Community College. I've also presented a few conferences here in Ohio and across the United States, and I've had 10 articles published in international journals. After I retired from the Mentor Fire Department, I took a tenure track position at Lakeland Community College, where I taught fire science, emergency management, government, and urban studies until I retired in 2020. While there, I designed 3 degree programs and countless courses, and in 2017, like Andy, I received the Excellence in Teaching Award from the college and from my peers. For 25 years, I was Lakeland's representative to the International Fire Service Accreditation Congress, which accredits fire emergency programs all over the world. I've been on accreditation site inspections at many colleges, and I was elected to their board of governors a few times. I never sought those positions. Never dreamed I would be the board chair. But again, there was other people that liked what I did and selected me. I mentioned I wanted to do a lot of things in life. I was very active in raising my 3 young sons, and in their entire high school career, I only missed one of their events because I had to be out of town. I now have 4 young grandchildren who at my age wear me out every day with active play with them. They're all under 5, look at me. But I treasure every minute that I allow them to wear me out. I've been blessed with the opportunity to travel to 48 states, 6 provinces, and 8 countries. I was the first of my family to return to Finland, when my family came here in 1886. Both of their houses still exist here in town, so you're always coming back. I mentioned I wanted to do a lot of things. When I was in Finland, I met 70-some cousins I didn't know existed. So it's kind of cool to go back. The American coming home to them is what it was. It was a big deal. I mentioned earlier I wanted to do a lot of things in life. One of the things, I'm a certified Skywarn spotter. I enjoy genealogy, photography, shortwave radio, hiking, travel. Like Andy, I served as a youth soccer coach under the same means. They needed a coach. I didn't like to coach. My son had a year before, so I got books and videos on this thing called VHS tape, which you don't even know what that is anymore, probably. I even accepted a nomination to officiate at the International Children's Games a few years ago. Again, I didn't seek it, I was referred to it. I found out later on that one of the games I refereed was Canada versus Israel, and we were at John Carroll University, and the roof of every building had snipers on it. So, thankfully I didn't find that out until later. I knew there was a couple armed guards at the field. I didn't know there were snipers on the building. I have a huge interest in local history, and if you pay attention to all local history, you've probably seen some of my work. I'm a docent at the Finnish Heritage Museum and here at the Lighthouse. It was there actually through another historian. We learned about a guy in Fairport called Frenchy the Pirate. Probably none of you have ever heard of him, but he was real. We did have a guy in Fairport named Frenchy the Pirate, and Bob and I discovered he had an unmarked grave in the Evergreen Cemetery in Painesville, having died early in the 1900s, and we got it marked. In my spare time, I also volunteer at Playhouse Square, which is the second largest theater district in the entire United States. So when I opened, I stated I don't like talking to myself, and I really meant it. As an FHS Hall of Fame nominee, I was asked to tell you about my life, and none of that's meant to brag, because it really isn't. That's not me. Like the others that spoke before me today, my point is to encourage you to live your dream, but be flexible along the way so you can adjust to life changes. I've been at places and done things that I never dreamed I'd do when I was in high school. Like I did, and like the others up here have said, please look to others for encouragement, support, positive reinforcement, you name it, from others throughout your life. And someday you might be on stage like I am today. And keep contact with your friends. You know, I graduated long before the other two that were up here with me today. And I still have contact with some of my band friends, and you name it, we still stay in contact. So that's it. Thank you for having me here today.
Thank you to these honorable alumni. I look forward to our dinner tomorrow night. Thank you very much for being a good audience. Once a skipper, always a skipper. Thank you.